Hello guys, I'm Sammy from hackerbad.net, and today we're going to be talking about cheating in mobile games. Now, there are a few questions that I get asked a lot when it comes to cheating in mobile games. First of all, obviously, well, is it possible to cheat in my favorite mobile games, be they single player or online? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is definitely possible. However, there are some pretty sophisticated things that you need to do in order to get there, and there are some risks associated with it. However, they can be minimized. All right. Now, the second question I get a lot is it possible for all devices, Android, iOS, Windows, whatever? And the answer is yes, it is possible. However, there are devices that are more popular among cheaters because they are easier to develop for, namely Android, because Google is very open with letting people have their source codes, building emulators, developing for their device, and so on. Apple, it's a lot harder, and Windows, I'm actually not 100% sure about that, but it's possible as well. Now, the main problem that we are confronted with when trying to cheat on a mobile device is that by default it's pretty much impossible because, well, with the exception of modded files, like modded APK files, for example, on an Android device, which is basically a modded game client. So that is an exception. That's actually one of the more popular cheats for any mobile device. It's just to use a modded version of the application of the app in order to cheat. Now, another kind of cheat would be to use another app to actually change values, like a hack, to actually change values on the game app. Now, in order to do that, however, you need to have a rooted phone. Now, most of you may have heard of this, but I'm just going to explain what a rooted phone exactly means. Now, it's basically you're making your phone into more PC, because with a PC, any application or any file, any program can influence, if it has the right permission, any other file on the computer. Now, on a mobile device, by default, every app is separated entirely from all the other apps and is unable to change anything about them. So they're really in their little capsule, securely stored there. Now, that is very good for security purposes, obviously, because there's not really much of a chance of a virus infecting your phone unless the virus roots your phone. And however, the downside is that, well, it doesn't give you a lot of freedom to do your own stuff and edit your apps and so on. So basically what rooting your phone does is it allows you to install apps that have administrator privileges that can influence any other app on your phone. Now, for example, a good example here is I'm using Game Guardian here on my emulated Android device in order to change values in this game, which is called Bubble Shooter. Now, let's just get into this game real quick. As you can see, there is a score up here, and there is a amount of ammunition that I have. Now, this is a single player game. Keep that in mind. It's going to be important later on. Now, what this Game Guardian app allows me to do, which, by the way, I have installed as a system app using a patcher program that needs a rooted phone. So this device is actually rooted. Okay, it's rooted. Now, well, everything disappeared for some reason. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to show you how hacking in a very simple form, especially in single player games on a mobile device, works. Now, we're using this app right here that allows us to select another app on our device and hack it. Okay, I'm going to go for Bubble Shooter, and we're going to go for known value. Now, this allows us to scan, for example, for our ammo value down here. So at the moment it's at 33, and we're going to scan for it. Search. auto. Okay, let's go for it. Now it's going to search for all the values that are at 39 in this particular game app. Now I'm going to shoot for a few times right here, and everything is back to normal. That's cool. And now it's at 35. So we're going back into the hack app, and we're going to search again, known value, and now it's at 35. Is that correct? Yes, 35. Search. And now it's going to search again for it amongst these values, and it's going to come up with 3 values. We're just going to close this again, shoot again, and do the same again. Now it's at 33. Let's go back. 33, they're all 33. Now we can change one of these. Let's go for 500. Ammo, that sounds nice. 500, yeah, there we go. Close it. And now, if we shoot once, we have 499 ammo. And that's basically how cheating on a mobile device works. It's just a very simple principle, but it does work. It basically works by changing values or having apps change values or data structures on your behalf, or using, modded files in order to change them right out of the box. That's basically how it works. However, this does not work the same way for every game. Now, this is a single player game bubble shooter, alright? Which means it doesn't need a connection to the internet, which means none of the data is processed on any kind of game server, alright? Now, let's have a look at some other games, like, for example, Pokemon Go, or Clash of Clans, and all these really huge popular games. They can be cheated in as well. However, they are online games, alright, which means they have servers, and the game is only partially processed on your site. Or even this tower defense game that I downloaded, a lot of the scores and stuff are actually stored on a server and cannot be hacked from your device. Now, why can't they be hacked? Well, you can't hack the servers, the game's servers. Well, you'd have to be a really skilled hacker, I guess, in order to do that, which probably you are not. So it's not gonna happen. And on top of that, it's actually definitely illegal to hack into actual servers, so you can go to prison for it as well, which you don't want to either. So yeah. Rooting your phone. Now, rooting your phone is, as I've already mentioned, required in order to make hacks on your Android device, iOS device, whatever kind of device you're using, possible. Now, I'm using, for example, this little app here, King Root, in order to root my mobile device. Basically, all you need to do, for example, on an Android device is install this little app or one of those rooting apps, and it will basically allow you to turn your phone into a rooted phone, which has the option to install applications that have administrator privileges or that are system apps that are able to access other apps on the phone and change values in them. So I have 2 cheating programs, Game Guardian and Game CIH. There's also some other stuff, Lucky Patcher, which is an app that allows you to install system apps. Now, this is only for Android devices. Obviously, the names would be different if you have an iOS device and so on. Now, the problem about this is if you have an actual physical device, notice that I'm actually using an emulator, BlueStacks, in order to demonstrate this. If you have a physical phone that you're actually rooting, the risk is much greater, as in you can actually brick your phone to the point where you yourself may not be able to restore it, and you might lose a lot of data and you might lose a lot of money. So what I would recommend to you guys is that you use an emulator in order to learn this stuff, and then maybe if you really know what you're doing, and if you know how to restore your original phone, then you can try it on your actual phone. But I would still not recommend it because there are emulators for Android devices. I'm not sure about iOS. I don't believe there is an iOS emulator, and I don't think there will be because Apple is very stingy about giving out their source codes, and it's probably just not gonna happen. So the preferred iOS or operating system for cheaters will probably be Android for the foreseeable future, because it's so much easier, because there's emulators, because a lot of people are developing for it. Now, another thing that is decently important that you need to know about cheating is that there are also ways to cheat in those online games such as Pokemon Go and Clash of Clans and so on, but they are more sophisticated. Those include, for example, something I can show you right here, fake GPS apps, for example, or bots. But a bot being basically a program that automatically performs actions for you. Now, this is, for example, a fake GPS program. It allows you to go anywhere in the world, engage your location, and then it will engage your fake location and give that location to any game that you might be playing. Now, since there's a lot of games that use your GPS coordinates these days, that is really useful, and it can be done for almost any kind of device, including iOS, Android, and so on. Because the phone just trusts whatever it is being told about the GPS data, and at the moment there's no actual way to verify that conclusively. And even if there was, they would probably not be using it because it would cost too much money, too much bandwidth, and so on. And it's not really useful in the real world. So that's basically that. And there are, as I've said, bots and other kinds of software that can also be run on a mobile device. However, they all, or at least almost all, excluding maybe modded applications, do need root privileges, do need a rooted phone, and therefore the risk is great. Now, there's also a risk of being banned, obviously, if you're cheating in an online game. As far as I'm aware, most online games like Clash of Clans, the big ones, or Empire, Four Kingdoms, or whatever all the big ones are these days, they do not actually ban people for botting just yet, for using bots to automatically play the game and farm. Because technology on mobile is just not there yet. It's definitely a thing on PC, where detection software is very advanced, but on mobile it's not really a thing, and it's not really worth doing it. However, certain hacks and exploits will be punished, and modded applications can also get punished. So before you use any kind of hack, a modded APK, modded application, whatever, for your device, make sure that it's undetected, okay? Because anti-cheating software is starting to crop up in more and more, especially online games for mobile devices. Now, this is as far as I'm gonna go today. This is just a general overview video as to whether cheating on mobile is possible, whether botting on mobile is possible, whether all kinds of hacks and cheats are possible on mobile. The answer is yes, but it is slightly more difficult and more risky in terms of actually bricking your device than it is on Windows PC, for example. But it's definitely possible, and it's definitely a lot of fun, and there's definitely a lot to be learned from it. Alright, thanks you guys for watching. I'll be doing some more in-depth videos on all the particular apps, all the particular devices, and so on later on. So if you want to get these, subscribe to get all the stuff sent to your timeline. And yeah, thanks you guys for watching. See you guys soon.